Have you ever thought about the stories we tell ourselves? And oftentimes, the self-limiting nature, the negative nature of these stories that we tell ourselves? My guess is most of us have that top 5 playlist of, negative stories of like, I'm not going to ever get that promotion at work because I'm too lazy, or I'm never going to be able to find a romantic partner because there's something wrong with me based on the attachment I had with my parents, or I'm going to always be socially awkward because I've never been able to get over my anxiety. And as I'm sitting here thinking about this, looking out our window here at the Artesian Collaborative, noticing the skyscrapers, it reminds me that we build these whole skyscraper of self based on these stories that we tell ourselves. And I think part of what I'm here to say today is that you are not the skyscraper. You are the sky that holds space for the skyscraper. And you are not your thoughts. You experience your thoughts just as the sky experiences the clouds passing by. The clouds, they come and go, and they're pretty much insubstantial. And so too our thoughts. They could come and go if we let them. And oftentimes we have such a hard time letting them go because of that painful tension that we feel when they arise. That tension can actually serve as feedback that there's something that we're not being mindful of, something that we're not accepting. And that acceptance can be challenging, but it can be worth it. And when I say acceptance, I'm not saying just buying into these storylines and just rolling over and accepting a lousy situation that we're in. It's the opposite. It's saying let's not waste our energy into believing the story and trying to work through it by escaping it or seeking something that makes us feel better but may not be so good for us, or trying to work through the story in our head and fixing the problem. It's letting all that go and focusing our energy into things that are more fulfilling and satisfying for us. And there's different ways we can accept things. First step is just recognizing that this is a mind state that I'm in. It's an emotional pattern I'm caught up in. And in a lot of ways, welcome to the club, of being human. This is how our mind works. It thinks. That's what minds do. They think. There's actually studies done that 80% of what the typical human being thinks about, has some sort of negative content in it. So if we recorded our thoughts for a week and played it back at Sunday, we wouldn't want to be friends with that other person that we hear on the other end of that recording. And I think this can be helpful because, again, we're not alone in this experience of negative thinking. We can just give us permission to let go of the rope of that tension and shift it somewhere else. You could think about it as not needing to see the world through these fear glasses. We could take those off and instead put on glasses that are more based out of love and appreciation for what we have around us. That is a choice that we have. Another thing is getting out of your mind and getting into your body. When we experience these negative stories, can you get a sense of what your emotion is? Is it, anger or more sadness? Is it frustration or anxiety? And can you get a felt sense of what that is like in your body? Is it pleasant, unpleasant, neutral? And can you just do the best you can just to allow space for it instead of resisting it and continuing to work it up? And so I guess I would just invite us that as we're out doing our daily thing, walking the dog or at a party, driving down the street, and we see other people, remembering that they have their own story and them too are going through their own struggles just like we are. And can we open up the gate to have a little bit more compassion for them? And as we work with ourselves and work on how we relate to ourselves, can that open up the door for how we relate to others? Take care, and wishing you well.